If, like me, you are new to Unreal Engine and you seem to be having a problem getting the WASD keys to actually move your pawn when you've created a new project, and it's a blank project, which means you have no predefined inputs, then stick around, because I'm going to show you how to fix that issue. First things first though, just in case you want to get in and out of this video real quick, here are my settings in the input mapping context. Just copy those settings, key for key, and it should actually work for you, okay? If you haven't got a clue what I'm talking about, let's get into it here, okay? First things first, Unreal Engine 4 didn't have the input local player subsystem, okay? Unreal Engine 5 does have it. It's got something to do with multiplayer. It makes sort of adding contexts easier, okay? So this is the sort of the new way. In fact, if you were to go and try and do things the way they were done in Unreal Engine 4, you're actually told in the settings, this is the deprecated way, use the new way. So what's going on here is that I created an input action, and that input action is just called move camera, and the only thing I changed in it was that I made the axis into a 2D axis. I put it down here, I split the values into X and Y so I could control them individually. And then there's just a little bit of logic going on further down here. I just get the pawn, I figure out its forward vector, figure out its right vector, and remember, you only need one vector and then you can infer the other vector. So if you've got a forward vector, then actually you have a backwards vector as well, because you just negate the axis. Same goes with the right vector. If you got the right, you got the left. You just negate it. Little bit of maths further down here. If you want to know what the rest of this is about, just hit me up in the comments. And I had all of that put together, but no matter what I did, when I started my simulation, just show you here, I was able to go forwards and backwards, but I would press A and D and I wouldn't go left and right. And not only would I not go left and right, but it wouldn't even register the key press with the little debugger that I created. So it really looked like something was wrong in my input mapping context. I could even switch the axes in my logic and I could even switch the axis in my input logic, and I would get, then I would be able to move left and right, but I wouldn't be able to move forward and backwards. So it was very strange, but everything pointed to the input mapping context. And in the end, that actually turned out to be the problem. Okay, so if you jump into your input mapping context here, you've got your WSAD keys. And rather than applying a scalar, okay, so if I click here and I go scalar, it gives me the option to set which axis I want to move along. And it also gives me the option to move along that axis in the positive or the negative. And that's the way you used to do it. But nowadays it's a little bit different. You use this input modifier called swizzle, and my reading of swizzle is that it basically just takes a vector and then it takes whatever the perpendicular of that vector is. That may not be the correct term to use, but just, you know, it's good enough for this explanation. And it understands that axis as well. So if you're positive X and you swizzle it, you'll also know where the positive Y is. Likewise, if you know where the negative X is, you'll also know where the negative Y is. So if you just put an input modifier of swizzle, YXZ, I believe that ZXY will also work. On your W key, on your S key, put the same thing in, except negate it. And then in your A key, all you have to do is set and negate. And then in your D key, just leave that blank. Then you will actually be able to move up, down, left, right.